Hello all, this is Lawrence with another video pertaining to the wild times that we live in. Yesterday we lost a great actor. His name was Gene Wilder. I grew up watching him. I know that on an annual basis they would show the movie Willy Wonka on TV. It was always great to watch that. So I want to start out by pointing out that Gene Wilder was born in 1933, which should raise a red flag for you. The number 33, 32, 23, 13, 12, 7, 6, 3, 2. Numbers like that, they should always raise a red flag with you, at least get your attention. They're trying to say something in all the numbers through numerology. Gene Wilder, so let's go ahead and break down his name. First of all, he's a great actor. It's terrible to hear news like that. Now, you got to consider that we live in a virtual world. So what does it really mean? I'm not sure. So the name Gene Wilder. So gene is another word for your DNA or your makeup. Basically, it's code. So Gene Wilder. So he has a wilder gene than the average person. So that's pertaining to aliens or angels or ascended masters or whatever you call them. So another character that's a lot like that is the character of Jean Grey in the X-Men. She's the Phoenix. She's the resurrection. She's the rising from the ashes. So the first movie that really comes to mind is the movie Young Frankenstein, where he plays the part of a Jewish scientist named Frankenstein. So the catchphrase for that movie is, "It's Frankenstein," instead of Frankenstein, and everyone would laugh out, That's hilarious, right? So what made it hilarious was this duality, this back and forth between the Jewish people and the German people, and so how dare they challenge the German people by making jokes about the Holocaust. And really, if you think about it, it makes no sense, because you're still making fun of us, the core issue, which was the Holocaust. So how many jokes should we be cracking about 9/11 or the Kennedy assassination, right? It's too dramatic, it's too big, and yet somehow Hollywood gets away with it, right? So they're just kind of pointing to the fact that, one, the Jewish people are probably related to the German people, and two, that Hollywood's involved in it all. I mean, Hollywood's involved in reality as a whole. If you really take a good look at it and you consider it, you'll be able to see through the facade. Then you have the movie The Producers, where he plays a part of a producer that intentionally tries to make a lousy play to collect some insurance money. I forgot what it was. They make more money just by making the bad play than if they had a successful play. The problem is everyone likes the parody, and it becomes successful, even though he didn't want it to be. So one of the chorus numbers in that play was a song called "Springtime for Hitler in Germany." So if you really study all this occultism out, it's a lot about spring, summer, winter, fall. The dualities are particularly it's winter and summer, but springtime pertains to fertility, and ultimately fertility leads to resurrection, because that's the end of the line, right? That's the end of the line. Over and over again, life generates in cycles until you ultimately get to the ultimate cycle, which is resurrection and immortality. So that's why that's in there. And again, he's stabbing, poking fun at Nazis. So the whole concept of the Nazi movement and the superior race, it comes back to the whole X-Men, angels, ascended masters, superheroes, blah, 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 blah. It's the same thing over and over and over again. Then you have another Mel Brooks movie called Blazing Saddles, which I don't know if you've seen it. You should see it. It's a great movie. But there's a couple things that come to mind in Blazing Saddles. One is, if you study out the chakras in the Kundalini, the first chakra is your basically at the base of your tailbone. So it's red. It's the indicator for that color is red because it's all about passion. It's all about the root person. It's about earth. It's about the unascended. It's everything that the highest chakra isn't. So it's our connection to earth. And so it's red, and so they think of it as hot. So that's your blazing saddle, right? That's where you sit. Also, there's the theme is he befriends a African American cowboy, and they're making fun of the fact that he's able to say these weird things to like KKK members and stuff, and it's actually a hilarious movie. Another thing that happens is they have a fight scene at the end where they're in this. First, they start out in this town. They're going to get attacked in this town, so they build a fake town. The people make the assault on the fake town, and then they get in a fight in this fake town, and then they bust into our reality, not the reality of the movie, but now they're into our reality, which is Hollywood. So now they're in a fight scene in the middle of Hollywood. So there's continual themes over and over again where, and also there's a scene that pertains to homosexuality in Hollywood. And if you ever see the opening credits for Family Guy, that's probably where they got the idea, was the scene from Blazing Saddles. So that's what that movie is about. It's about race, it's about homosexuality, and it's about the root chakra. Okay, now we're down to Willy Wonka. So Willy Wonka is probably his most famous movie, and it stars a child, and the main character's name is Charlie. And so the word Charlie, again and again, I keep explaining it means manly. So if you look at Charlie, he's not what you consider the alpha male. He's not really, if anything, he's a little bit effeminate. And that's what this is all about. This is about the alpha male becoming more cooperative, more caring, concerned. He's moving from the left hemisphere of the brain into the right hemisphere, and really ultimately having a balance between the right and left. So being able to get stuff done like the alpha male, but getting it done with compassion like the right brain, which is probably where you get all this homosexual references, because there's probably a spillover from men becoming more caring, and then it probably somehow affects males also to a percentage where you get some homosexuals. And if you're moving from left brain to right brain, that would mean if you're too right brain, you might move into left brain, which means the females might become more alpha male as well. And we're seeing that in society as well, where you're getting more aggressive, assertive females. So anyway, enough about Charlie. Then you got the story of Willy Wonka, who owns this virtual reality. Basically, it's this factory that produces something that everyone wants, which is really probably a metaphor for materialism. So you go into this factory and it's paradise, but it's not really paradise, it's plastic. And then you look at how he manufactures it, it's kind of gross. He's putting boots, and he's putting liquor, and he's putting whatever it is in the food to make the candy, and the kids just look at him like, who cares? Whatever it takes to make good candy, And so during this adventure in this virtual reality, it gets scary. People are getting knocked off as they're going through, and so this dream scenario, when you get to walk through the chocolate factory, becomes a nightmare. And so at the end of it all, if you haven't seen the movie, there's a spoiler alert. So if you haven't seen the movie, you might want to turn it off. But spoiler alert. So what happens at the end of the movie is this benevolent, loving Willy Wonka, who wants to give away the materialism, which is the chocolate. He ends up turning on everyone, and then he finds the loophole to reject Charlie, which Charlie didn't do hardly anything wrong. He did do something wrong, but he was definitely the best of all the kids. And the grandfather who's escorting Charlie starts grinding in at Willy Wonka. You're a fraud. You're a fake. You're a phony. And Charlie, for some reason, he sees through it all. He says, "Look, I didn't deserve this from the beginning. I'm okay." And he humbly walks away from it all. So then at that point, Willy Wonka ends up giving him not only the chocolate factory, but the surrounding area at least. There you go in this great glass elevator over the city, and he says, "This is all yours." And so the elevator is a metaphor for ascension. He gets into the elevator, and they go straight through the window. He breaks the glass ceiling, the unobtainable goal. So they break through, and he earns it all. And so that's a metaphor for God and the way God works. The way we think he works is one way, and the way he actually works is another way. And I would point to the book of Job, which I had heard was actually the first book that was written. It wasn't Genesis that was written. It was actually Job that was written first. And explains that whole concept where God puts you to the test. And he brings in Satan, the satanic figure, which was Wormsworth or something like that. He's the guy with the scar on his face, whatever. He's the character of Satan, but it's just a test for Charlie. So that's what this is all about. When an actor dies, reverence their material. What is the material they did? That's what Gene Wilder's about. He's the Wilder gene. He's DNA. He's God. But he's God through a test, and the test is religion will run you through hoops. And when you feel like God isn't even doing what he's supposed to be doing, what will you do? Will you just give it up and just start being selfish and doing what you want to do? That is the story of Willy Wonka. That's the story of Gene Wilder, and that's what this is all about. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Lawrence, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.